Guillermo, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Grant?
Very good. I really appreciate taking the time to do this little interview for us.
My
For everybody
pleasure.
at home, this is Guillermo Catalan, partner and managing director for Eagle Automotive. We also have Matt Martin on the line with us, Guillermo. That's our CEO for everyone at home. Matt, how are you, sir?
Doing great, Grant. Thanks.
Excellent. Well, Guillermo, again, thank you again for taking the time. Let me just wanted to run through a couple quick questions for you. We're really excited to partner with you. Wanted to start from the beginning. How did you hear about Sperlonga? What piqued your interest?
Oh, thank you again, Grant. It's also a pleasure to work with you guys as well. You guys have done great things for us. First, I want to start off by, yes, I was referenced by Sperlonga by someone in our industry, which I really always admired his processes and was wondering, how was he able to be so successful in his business, because he was basically focused on the buy here, pay here business, which to me was always a business that I always thought was a very tough business because of the quality of the people that you get. And by that, I mean just by the challenges that comes with the type of clientele that seek a buy here, pay here business.
Right.
So I asked him what he did. One day we're just talking and he was sharing on his successes by telling me that he used Sperlonga. Because, basically what Sperlonga does is it reports to credit agencies, therefore holding people accountable to make their payments on time. And at the same time, whether it can affect them, it benefits them as well because it reports when you do make your payments on time. So I found that very fascinating. Of course, anybody that does not have credit and you give them an opportunity to rebuild credit, which is great both for the consumer and for the dealership, because now you're helping your people. You're going to gain that customer retention and loyalty, because of the system that Prolong has put in place of being able to report. I think has had a huge impact in the car industry, especially the buy here, pay here industry.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's well.
We're super excited to be in the industry now. Did you think it was going to have as large and as swift as an impact as it did? You're seeing?
Just by seeing, like I said again, the processes by my friend whose dealership I admired, I knew it would have a big impact just because I've dealt with the credit challenge people, and I know that it's something that I've tried to shy away from.
So Guillermo, did you think it was going to have as big of an impact as you're seeing?
Yes, indeed, I believe they did, and that's why probably my friend was so successful with his business because of what Sperlonga brought to the table. So I think that I liked it. I put myself in the consumer's shoes. I dealt with these type of clientele in the past, and I shied away from it. So it was because of those reasons, because I did not want to take on those headaches. So by having someone that can report to the credit agency and holding people accountable, definitely had a great impact. Most people are going to want to make their payments on time, right? Nobody wants to. When you talk about credit, there's two things that people look for. Either they're going to say they have bad credit and they want to repair it, or they're going to tell you that they've never had credit and they want to build credit, right? Or if you give them a way to rebuild it, then everybody's listening. So I think that basically pushes people to make sure that they make their payments on time. And so I think yes, it did have a great impact.
And Guillermo, you bring up a great point. How important do you feel like the consumers understand how important their credit score is today? And have you seen that change over time?
Yes, I have, definitely. I mean, once one of the things that we do is I like to educate people. We always talk about their credit, ways of doing it, and you can see that the expression in their face, the way people's eyes light up when you talk about giving them a chance of rebuilding credit, and if you explain it to them properly, especially because they're going to make their payments on time because they want to have that hope of stop paying 24.99 interest rate, which I don't think is going to be beneficial to the buy here, pay here places because that's how they make their money. But it gives them a way of hope of being able to obtain bigger things like homes and credit cards, which probably most likely if you're in a buy here, pay here program, you don't have either.
And you bring up a great point with that. So 24.99, I know that I've seen dealerships charge upwards of 29.99. Just to compare, and just so that I'm clear, those rates are primarily driven by someone's credit, correct? And so to the extent that someone went from a 550 credit score all of a sudden to an 850. What's the difference of a prime rate? What do they pay today?
Oh, I mean, the difference in the prime rate is significantly different. I mean, you can get a rate as low as 2.74 for a 30-year-old car if you want to, with a credit score around, anything over 750, 730 in that range. It's being in the prime credit section. Probably have to put zero money down as well. You get better advances on your loans. So
wow, that's incredible. So you can drop someone's interest rate on their car by up to 27% by having someone have a better credit score. It's that impactful.
It is that impactful. Yes, sir.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. I mean, it's and just the terms as well. The access of what banks you can utilize, because you become you're limited, and that's why the buy here pay here pages exist, because not only are higher rates when you're getting a loan to originate the loan, there's fees, it's lower terms, which makes your payments higher. They require a lot more things from you. Insurance, the deductibles have to be lower, so make sure that you're able to pay them. So yeah, I mean, it has a huge impact overall.
Awesome. And do you, Gary, do you think, I know you've been using the service now for a little while. Do you think you have seen a growth in your buy here, pay here as you were hoping for?
Of course. I'm more confident of doing a buy here, pay here deal now. Ever since I got to Sperlonga, it's built my confidence and getting and attracting that market and being comfortable making a deal, because I know that people have something else. They have something to lose, right? Which is their credit. They have something to lose and have something to gain. So,
right.
if they use it positively, which most of them will, because like I say again, it's very important to them when you talk about credit, the rebuilding process, or to even open up credit. Just the fact that they know that it affects it to them, and it's going to be a plus or a minus down the road, and that they're cognizant of it, I think makes them more responsible and more willing to pay on time, or at least not even hide from you. I even noticed that some people they call you ahead of time now, and they say, "Hey, I'm going to be late on my payment." They know, so they're afraid that you're going to report because they know you're reporting. So it'll be like, hey, you work with them. So it gives you, but the communication channels open up a lot better as well with your consumers. You have more access to them rather than having to chase them down or feel like you're the bad person because you're trying to collect on your money. I think it's basically a great point for them, because they understand that you're also taking a risk at the same time, but you're doing it and helping them out at the same time. I think makes change the mentality of people when it comes to paying.
And I think that's such an important dynamic too, right? So one thing that people don't realize about Sperlonga is we report payment plans as though they're current. So as long as a borrower reaches out and works out a payment plan, bad things happen to people all the time, and just life happens. And that's just such a, we feel like that was a really impactful tool, that if someone is going to run a little bit late and they reach out, you as the data furnisher have the opportunity to be able to put them onto a payment plan status, which won't negatively affect their credit, to really sort of incense that communication, which we've just found so important.
Agreed. Definitely.
What were you doing before Sperlonga? I mean, what's your, if they're not bad, I mean, I
was pulling my hair. I tried it all. I tried letters, I tried phone calls, I tried, neighbors, references. I mean, but you're only one person. Then you just have to build a team to be able to do these things too. And it was just requiring too much time, too much effort. You're finding yourself spending more time trying to collect on these accounts, and the risk reward was just not there. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like you basically, when you put it with a lender, let's say a conventional bank, you basically just putting A and B together, and you have zero worries about collecting or not. So that's why it's so much easier to put some of these loans through lenders, because they report, customers are going to want to pay. They don't pay, they're going to repo. We can repo, but there's really no
last thing you want to do, right?
Exactly. So I mean, it's just chasing these people. They know that there's no real recourse. That it's not going to impact their credit. They know that the worst case scenario, they're going to, you're going to repo the car and that's it. I mean, you're going to try to sue them for a buy here, pay here. You're better off saving the legal fees and just taking the car back and reselling it. Right. I mean, like, I don't know if you ever saw that show on John Oliver about he tracked one vehicle, how it was sold 29 times to buy here, pay here, and he did that article about how that worked, how predatory that was. So yeah, pretty much that's those are your options, right? You have to call yourself, people yourself, keep track of yourself, and then the bigger your portfolio, the more you have to be on top of it when payments are due. These people, if you give them any leeway and they find out the system or you're slacking, they're gonna know. They already know who to deal with. They've been around the block. They've heard it all. They have every single story. They know every single story in the book. So it's, I think the only thing that can really chain them down and give them that and scare them a little, to say, not for use a better word, is the fact that they know that this can affect their credit or improve their credit.
Right. And a lot of people, think that people that are going to a buy here, pay here, or something like that, or that are behind on other bills and things like that. They get behind. They say they don't care about their credit. And I feel like it's it's the exact opposite. These guys care about their credit. They know if they really know how it works. I mean, they have a hard time building it once it's low, but it's it's really important to them. It's
right. And a lot of the buy here, pay here places, you got to remember one thing. Of course, it's important, but someone that doesn't have a solution to it and doesn't think that they can get out of it, or they don't have a chance of rebuilding their credit, then they know that, for example, why are they going to care? They have no other option. They're going to be in the same, like I tell them, they're going to be in the same vicious circle over and over again unless you do something different. So I think that only by paying out other existing debts or obligations, that is not going to work, and then realize that having one good account can help their credit significantly.
right.
And so, you give them that hope. I could tell a lot of people, I'm like, this is going to give you a chance of having to walk into another dealership sometime and being able to purchase what you want at a lower interest rate. You're not going to have a $500 payment for a 2011 Toyota Camry. You're going to have a $500 payment for a BMW.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you want that, right? You would rather drive a BMW and pay $500 a month than to drive a 2011 Toyota Camry with 100,000 miles for $500 a month.
Exactly.
You're going to get that if you get good credit and rebuild your credit. So,
Right.
it's not like dreaming to live a nightmare.
Well, Guillermo, I really appreciate the time, man. Do you have any other last questions?
Yeah, I mean, Guillermo, is there any reason why you wouldn't recommend utilizing Sperlonga to anyone else in the industry? Or
Absolutely not. As a buy here, pay here, of course. I mean, that's per our conversation. You have to have a certain amount of people before you can report to places like Equifax, places like CNG, for example, right next to me, right here, down 2 blocks down. That's all they do. All they do is buy here, pay here, and they do report to credit agencies. Mar also, which is he's out in Winchester, really big. All they do is buy here, pay here. They don't care about doing any other business. All they do buy here, pay here. The smaller places don't have that access, right? So it's little places like you say in Manassas, a lot of places like in Woodbridge, a lot of mom and dad shops that do buy here, pay here. I would say on a, not so much because they want to, but because they have to. Because they don't have the credentials to obtain Westlake pretty much signs up with everybody, but you still have to have some type of credentials. Like I just got Cotto. I can have access to 20 different credit unions now. That lets me hold points and stuff. So, you can talk to Cotto as well. So there's a lot of different pieces there that, that I look at, like to them, their option is to sell cash, send them to a credit union, or do the buy here, pay here, which, they're also taking a big risk. And I think that, if they advertise that, if they were to report to a credit bureau, especially with the Hispanic community, which is a huge community here in those areas, the Hispanic community, the Black community, the African-American community, and the credit challenged, of course, you cater to that market, you're golden, which is mostly a market that look for those type of cars. Very, why don't you go to West Virginia? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So tell me about an amazing experience with the buy here, pay here, where you and the customer really won, and tell me about your worst buy here, pay here experience.
My best buy here, pay experience as far as what you said, sorry?
as far as where it was a good deal for you and you saw someone really reap the benefits of utilizing a buy here, pay here program.
No, we see them all the time. I mean, I think one of my favorite stories was, you know, basically a mother, and there's a mother and a son, and obviously the car was for the son, and the mother kind of explained to him, you know, what the credit situation and what not to do. So seeing that presentation of explaining how important it is to build credit, to have credit, how to maintain credit, and how everything gets reported. I remember having that conversation when I sold him the car, and she was telling her son, like, this is something that, you know, that we're here for this because of these situations that we lived in life, and now, you know, this is what the price that we pay for this. And when she came back and traded her vehicle in about 13 months later and made a whole year worth of payments on time, and it was reported to a credit agency, we were able to refinance that same particular vehicle. Instead of selling her another vehicle, she was looking for another car, thinking that was the only option she had. And we went to a credit union and got her a refinancing at 3.49%.
Wow.
And it just kind of, I love the fact of how she just showed the value and explained that to her son coming back a year later and saying, look, if you really do this, this really will work. You know, so I think
That's incredible. That's
one
incredible.
of the best moments that I got, because it's like, she showed it by example and showed her that this really happens. So they're just gonna take our word for it. And yeah, I mean, it was a win-win situation for everybody. We sold a car, they refinanced their vehicle, and they built their credit.
All right, Guillermo, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. We're super excited to be partnered with you. Wish you continued success, and thank you, Matt. You guys have a great day.
Yeah, you do as well. Thank you very much as well.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.